Hey guys, it's Shelby, otherwise known as Shelbizleee here on YouTube, and today we're going to talk about one of the most known things in sustainability, one of the most known factors of sustainability, and that is recycling. Or at least it's one of the most ones that is discussed most, but I think that there are a lot of nuances to recycling that people don't understand, and I wanted to talk a little bit about those, especially in this video, so that you can conceptualize what is actually going on. Before we get into all the nitty-gritties of recycling and all the important things that you need to know to be a well-informed recycler, I did want to say that this video is another part of Thrive Market's Sustainability Month, where this week is all about recycling. So they are sponsoring this video. If you guys have never heard me talk about Thrive Market before, make sure you check them out. They are an amazingly ethical company, and they do a lot of great things with recycling. As a matter of fact, Thrive Market themselves is a zero waste company, and that's why I'm really happy to support them. I think people have turned zero waste into something that the responsibility is now falling on like you and me, the consumer, whereas zero waste was meant to be in industrial terms for businesses to take responsibility for their waste, because for every pound of trash we produce, they're producing 7 pounds that we're not seeing. And Thrive Market has taken the initiative to say, we don't want to be a part of that. We want to stop the waste before it happens. So Thrive Market is very, very responsible, down to composting their materials, recycling all of their materials. The materials that they ship out oftentimes are completely compostable. Thrive Market as a business is very sustainable and of course very ethical. So you can definitely grocery shop on Thrive Market. I stock my pantry with a lot of stuff from there because it's great to support a more ethical company than some of the alternatives that you could be buying your food from. And of course, Thrive Market always gives me a discount code for you guys. So if you click the link in the description, you can get 25% off of your order and a 1-month free membership. You can save so much money by shopping on Thrive Market. And so why wouldn't you, if they're the most ethical company that I know of that you can order groceries from? So make sure you check them out. Thank them for sponsoring this video. Once again, we're not going to be talking about products. They're just wanting me to educate more people on these issues that really, really matter to me, you, and also to them. So make sure you at least give them a look, check them out. The link is at the top of the description. I did want to tell you before we hop into the nitty-gritty of this video that I am going to be focusing on single stream recycling. Back in the day, single stream was not mainstream, but as of 2010, almost 70% of recycling in the US was single stream, which means you put all of your recyclables into one bin and then they sort them at the facility. So there are other materials that you can recycle through special programs. So TerraCycle actually has a ton of recycling programs and you should definitely check them out. And I also did an interview with Tom Sazaki that is so stinking cool that I was able to interview him on my podcast. So we talked more about how TerraCycle recycles materials that are otherwise unrecyclable, how they kind of get through that. So I'll link that podcast in the description, and I also have a video about things you cannot recycle and why that is. So I'll link that here, and I'll try to remember to link that in the description as well. But you're not going to see my face through most of this video because I want you guys to really conceptualize what is going on. So I'm going to toss you over to the video that I put together, and we'll see you back here at the end.
Recycling is not the most comprehensive thing ever. It can be a little bit confusing if you've never thought about what actually is recycling. And recycling is not the most efficient thing to do. It's often very energy intensive, but to understand what recycling is, you have to understand what happens in the recycling process. So recycling basically means you take what you're putting into your bin, you take those materials and you break them down into the basic building blocks so that they can be turned back into something else, right? So if you took a glass bottle, you broke it down to its building blocks, and then you turned it back into another glass bottle. That is what recycling is. And the reason that we say plastic recycling is nowhere near as efficient as other materials like glass and metal is because plastic cannot continuously be broken down into its virgin blocks to be reformed. So I wanted you to have that understanding before we hop into this. We'll start with the easier ones that are easier to recycle, and then we'll get into the complicated plastic. Another key point that is crucial for you to understand is that the majority of recycling in the US right now is single stream, meaning they are sorting it themselves at the facilities. So whenever you're putting things into your recycling that are not recyclable, it is contaminating the things that they are sorting through, because the blocks, in order to be put back into their virgin form, have to all be the exact same material. So you can't mix different plastics together. You can't mix glass with plastic. So if you're putting putting things in there that are not recyclable, it can ruin the chances of the entire batch being recycled. So it is very important that you understand what is and what is not recyclable and why it is and why it is not. So this video is going to help you with all that. A few things about glass recycling first. It is great to reuse and then recycle because it can be recycled an infinite amount of times, meaning you can melt and break down glass to its building blocks and then reform it back into another bottle over and over and over, which makes it a really great material to buy because it can be recycled and reused. It's not going to lose any of its quality like plastic will do. There isn't anything too specific you need to take into account with glass recycling other than A, make sure it's clean, and B, make sure it is not broken. In single stream recycling, if your glass is broken, they will throw out that entire batch of recycling because it becomes very dangerous for the people who are separating it, like we already learned. And fun fact, glass is made from sand. Pretty cool. Alright, so we've got glass down, but what about cardboard though? So cardboard and paper are essentially the same thing. Cardboard is just paper intertwined together to make it stronger. So you can think of paper recycling and cardboard recycling as one. The thing you need to know about paper and cardboard recycling is that they cannot separate the food particles from paper. So if you have something that has grease on it, very good example of this are pizza boxes. You cannot recycle greased pizza boxes because they can't separate the grease from the paper in order to recycle it. Last thing is, recycling paper is a lot more important than you think. A single run of the New York Times can save 75,000 trees. Now onto the more complicated stuff. Plastic. Plastic is nearly everywhere we look. It is very cheap. It is very convenient. It is something that manufacturers choose to use all the time, from things like toothbrushes to our plastic water bottles. But what do you need to know about plastic recycling? The first thing you need to know is always look for the number. This thing here is a plastic number 1. Now, the lower the number, generally speaking, the easier it is to recycle. You want to look at your recycling bin, check with your city, and see what numbers your recycling bin accepts. I feel very confident in telling you that nearly every single stream recycling facility will take plastic number 1. If they take plastic, you can feel good about putting plastic number 1 into your bin. But after that, it gets really complicated and hard to say. You are going to have to do some research for your particular program, because what you're seeing right here is plastic number 2. And that's because it is a colored plastic. So clear plastics that are hard are generally number 1. Plastics that are colored, like this white container here, are generally a different number of plastic. Now, my recycling facility does take plastic number 2 when it is hard, but it does not take plastic bags like this one, but it's also labeled as a plastic number 2. So you do have to be a little bit careful about that. Luckily, most of them are telling you they are store drop-off. Plastic bags, plastic mailers are generally not accepted by recycling facilities except for the specialized ones that you can take to a store. Plastic number 5 can often be mistaken for plastic number 1. So if your facility does not accept a 5, don't put it in your recycling. It can do more harm than good.
Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot about recycling, and I know a lot of people on this channel are not huge recyclers because I personally focus on reduce and reuse, but this information can really help you be more educated when talking to your friends and family and explaining to them why recycling their plastic bags is simply not enough. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Thrive Market for sponsoring this video. You guys have to check them out. They are absolutely an amazing company, and I don't think you would ever regret supporting them, supporting their mission, their zero waste mission, as well as their ethical missions. And it's just really cool that they were able to partner with me on this to educate more people about the stuff that I care about, that you care about, and that Thrive Market cares about. So make sure you check them out. 25% off of your order, off of their already low prices. You have nothing to lose and a lot to gain. So remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye guys.